Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new edition of the NoDQ review, number 166 and counting. I am Virtue, being joined by this week's elite panel of NoDQ, of course, Aaron Riff, Robbie Vice making his way back after his case study of watching only AEW. And boy, this is going to be fun. And of course, he's on a high because of the Cleveland Cavaliers winning some basketball games. Of course, Dr. Jargo is back, a staple. Jargo, you know what? You've made it. You know why? You got some haters. I love it.
Man, I've had haters for years. They're just finally catching up to the NoDQ universe.
Well, I always got to make sure you're on. And Santa's back because, you know, we are less than 10 days away from Christmas. So, Santa, how's it going?
Busy here as always at the North Pole. We're down. It's crunch hour. It's crunch time. We're just crazy busy. But I wanted to make sure I came in this week. I had to flake last week. That was Jeff's fault. Unfortunately, my alter ego decided to go to the hockey game instead of be on the air with you. So that was his bad.
Well, you're here this week, so I'm sure you will have some input on these topics. Jargo,
Definitely.
We just did some shows over on Vito's channel. Now here we are again. What's up?
You know, just hanging out and being cool, man. I'm getting ready for these haters. Where's all the haters at? I want the haters.
Well, it's always on Twitter, but it'll be fun. Just sit back and you know you'll have the floor. Robbie, are you okay? You went a month. Was it a month? You might have to put your mic on. Is your mic on?
Hi. Yeah, there we go.
So 1 month watching AEW television, and here you are back on the review, and we got some AEW heavy topics. What's up?
So you want to know so I basically did this. So I went an entire month where I watched Dark, which is a thing in itself. I watched Rampage and I watched Dynamite. I did it literally every week for 4 weeks straight. I wasn't really on Twitter. I wasn't listening to any other podcast. I wasn't being influenced. I wanted to see if I literally gave it a completely open chance, if my less than average opinion of AEW would change. And it did. I did find AEW was some of the best programming I've seen. And I will say, no matter what I feel about it either way, I think that's a lot more of a passion project. You could tell the people there care. And I think that's a huge plus. Some of the negative things, though, were actually bigger than what I initially thought. Like their women's division is still not good. And I feel like while you have this amazing top-heavy roster of the superstars, and they're just great performers and great promo, you have these just filler guys. They look like create a wrestler from Raw versus SmackDown 2000. They have copy-paste move sets. They have the same entrance. They all look the same. They're just slender 22-year-old dudes doing flips, and then I don't know. It doesn't do it for me. I don't know why they're fighting. I don't know why they're wrestling. I don't know anything about them. I know that they do flips, and what they do it very well, but it wasn't really my thing. So I would say that I'm probably still going to watch Dynamite. I think at the very least, if anything has changed, I'm curious to see what some of the big guys. I really like Adam Page. I think Adam Page was one of my biggest change of mind. I was high on him early, and I just didn't think he had it later. But I changed my mind. Sammy Guevara is another one. The more I watch him, the more I just see like a legitimate star. Britt Baker obviously is great. It's great to see FTR back on TV. I don't know if the Tully thing is really fully there for me. Yeah, and then some of the other stuff is like too many cold matches. I still think the CM Punk thing was a complete just drop of the ball. But yeah, at the end of the day, AEW it's a solid product that is like if you had a cake and like 80% of that cake was really good, but then like 20% of that cake was something that you scraped up behind your dog after they used the restroom and tried to smear it with some sugar. You could force it down. You know what? You could force it down. It's just I don't find it enjoyable. And then the last thing I'll say, my last comparison I wrote down.
And you'll definitely be able to talk about it all night because we got AEW topics. So
right, but this is the last thing I would say. There's so many matches that are similar that I felt like I was watching a marathon of NCIS.
Ooh.
Okay, so Robbie, let me ask you a question then.
Sure.
You like 80% of AEW and what they're doing.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you feel about WWE? If you were going to rake in on that same kind of scale, where are you with the WWE product? Because I feel like 80% for any wrestling promotion is actually pretty damn good.
It is, but you have to understand that 20% in AEW, I think, is much worse than the bottom part of what WWE is. WWE has definitely a higher floor, but a lower ceiling, right? I would say WWE, man, it's tough because they have so much TV. Raw is borderline unwatchable. There's just very few things that I ever want to watch on Raw. And on SmackDown, there's usually 2 or 3 storylines that I'm interested in. Obviously, Roman Reigns, but as I said last time I was on here a month ago, it's getting a little bit stale. So I would say WWE is probably like 50% or less, depending on it. But some of the highs in that are just great. But the worst part of it is just like it's just kind of like whatever, it's vanilla ice cream. It's not like awful most of the time, but it's not something I really think about outside of when it's happening.
Robbie, you did
my
it.
Life gone.
You did it.
I did it,
and you came on and talked about it, and you followed
AEW
through,
Dark is the worst show I've ever seen in my life. By the way, it's AEW Dark is so bad. It is so bad. Dynamite was good. It's a waste of time.
I want to give shout outs to other panel members who aren't on this week. Obviously, Colin the Cleaver, Jerry Slaughter, Big G, Steve-O, anybody else. But Aaron Rift, over to you now before we get rolling with this week's topics.
I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to tonight's discussion just because I'm curious to see what everybody thought about Dynamite, that 1-hour match, that Broadway between Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega. I got some haters on Twitter. Anytime you criticize AEW, the AEW faithful, they will find those tweets and they will call you out. And I definitely had some people that were not happy with what I had.
And you're verified on Twitter, so you got more attention than most. So.
And I did not even say it was a bad match. I said it was a very good match. It was a solid B+. Nothing wrong with a B+.
B+ player.
So, Aaron, that's it. I'm going to start with this topic, and I'll start with you. Normally I don't, but I'll start with you. So we had the Bryan Danielson versus Hangman Page 1-hour match on Dynamite, right? The Broadway. It started the show for the AEW World Title. We ended in a what, gentlemen? A draw, and Jargo and I were talking about that. We had a draw before on AEW as well. That was 30 minutes. So, okay, a couple draws this year, it happens. Ties happen. Ties happen in the NFL. But here we are, Aaron. The floor is yours. You've tweeted about it. You got some people. You had a private conversation with me, and the floor is yours on the review. You can even talk about Hook, too, Rampage, because he debuted, and gosh, you would think he'd been around a while.
Are you a hooker?
I don't know yet. I need time. I need more. I need to see more. But go ahead.
I think I might be a hooker already. I think
I need time. Dude, it took me a while to get to Roman.
Look at that hair. Look at that hair.
Look, you don't just jump into being a hooker. You do have to ease into it.
Well, there you go. That is true, Robbie Vice. Oh, goodness. You enjoying our comments over there, Santa?
Absolutely. Always.
Anyways, people asked what would have I done differently? I would have gone half the length, and I would have had Adam Page beat Bryan Danielson clean to retain the title. It was his first title defense, and I think you need to establish the champion as the top guy and not have it disputed. Is this guy really the top guy? That's what this match on Dynamite accomplished. It makes you wonder, is Page really the top guy, or is it Bryan Danielson? I think Page needed the win. And, they can do the rematch. He can get the win. That's all fine and dandy. But Page just won the title, and I think people out there are very quick to judge, and they're looking for that first impression. And the first impression is, well, Page could not beat the guy that lost to Roman Reigns in less than half the time 6 months ago. So who's the real world champion? Is it Adam Page or is it Roman Reigns, the guy that beat Daniel Bryan, sent Bryan to AEW, and then Bryan's just tying guys like Kenny Omega and Adam Page?
Would it have hurt, Aaron, if the match went the length you wanted, Hangman went over, and after the match, somebody like Daniel Bryan, who was always about being a good sportsman, WWE era, snapped to get heat back, right? That's how it used to be done in the day, and then you could continue that feud. I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been fine. And there was, again, nothing really wrong with the match. Very impressive that they can go out there for an hour. Most people cannot do that. They don't have that kind of conditioning. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. But from the moment that match started, and they're starting off really slow, and, the first 10 minutes, Bryan keeps ducking into the ropes, to get Page to back off. The pacing of it, you knew right away it's going a full hour. You know that they're going to drag this thing out. And I knew from the first minute in what the whole song and dance was going to be, which is fine. They're going to go out there and do some athletic stuff, and it's going to be a well-worked match. The work rate is going to be very high, but I was just kind of bored with it. Now, I'm sure a lot of other people that maybe haven't been watching wrestling for 30-something years might have found it very exciting. But when they were doing the near falls, I'm like, well, they're going to be likely ending this 59 minutes at best, or probably they're going to go the full hour and it'll be a draw. So I could not get into any of the near falls. The live crowd obviously did, and maybe being there live, it would be a different experience. But yeah, I just could not really get into it. I still thought it was a very good match, and I'm sure that Paige will be okay from this. I was not blown away by it like some of the other people on Twitter.
You got a super chat.
All right, let me get to that. Alberto Gomez sent in a $2 super chat, says, Cena versus HBK or Danielson versus Page, both had 1 hour matches. I've never been the biggest fan of 1 hour matches, and I honestly don't remember what happened with that Shawn Michaels John Cena match. I remember it being a really good match, but I don't remember how it ended. Maybe somebody can fill me in on that one. Joey here says they could have gone 30 minutes and had the same effect. I agree. They told that story well with Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, that first match. And that, to me, made more sense because that could have set up Bryan getting a title match. That was a non-title match. That could have set up the title match with Bryan getting the opportunity for the title. Here, I guess they could do a match on the pay-per-view again, but I thought that it was better done the first time with Omega, and they still haven't done that rematch yet. So people are like, well, yeah, they're going to do the Bryan Danielson match with Adam Page again, but are we for sure that that's going to happen? They haven't done the Omega match yet. So I would have done it differently, but I get it. AEW caters to the old school fans that like their, as you would say, Virtue, their wrestling. They like their long matches. They like their work rate matches. That's what they want to see. And it was a throwback to the 80s when Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat would do the 1 hour matches. So it is what it is. They satisfied their audience. And just wasn't my favorite match of all time, but it was very good.
Now, before I move on to the next, you did say you are a hooker then, so you're behind Taz's son. He is Taz's son, right?
I mean, I like him. I like him so far.
I need time. Like, that's all. Like, I don't like this premonition of you see something and it's automatic because it's AEW. It's the greatest thing ever. Like, it's because we can tweet it, right? And it makes us feel satisfied when we like something to get other people to jump on it right away. I need to digest this guy. And I'm not saying he was bad, but,
yeah,
and didn't know where the hard camera was.
Yeah, well, I think he has a good look to him. And I think he kind of has a little bit of a cool factor, but we'll see how he evolves over the next couple weeks. And responding to Christopher, I'm sure Tony Khan has a plan for this, so we'll see how it plays out. Maybe they do a rematch at the first TBS episode of Dynamite. Maybe they do it at Battle of the Belts. We'll see what they have planned for us.
Tony Khan, the first man to book a 2 hour Iron Man match, or has that happened before? Could you imagine a match going 2 hours?
It'll just be the whole pay-per-view, 4 hour match.
Aaron, before I pass it over to Santa, you had another super chat come in. Did I see?
Oh, yeah. I'll get to that. And yeah, I actually do have the ability to favorite messages now, so I can always go back to them if I miss them. The Game is on 100 sent in a $2 super chat and says, I prefer Douglas, Sandman, Terry Funk 3-way the first time. I don't even remember that match either. Maybe Santa would have a better recollection of the ECW matches.
Santa, you're on the clock.
Yes, sir. Yes, that was the one at the night the line was crossed where they really started the push of Shane Douglas toward the world title.
Now, Santa, I'm going to add your knowledge there. It's kind of like Jeff Meacham's. I'm going to ask you the same thing. Thoughts on that 60-minute match and thoughts on Hook?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Jeff Meacham because I know both Aaron and Jeff are old school fans as well. They've both been fans for you. Aaron, I know, was a fan in the late 80s, and Jeff became a fan in 1990. So they're both considered old school fans at this point. They've been fans for 30 years. Aaron mentioned he liked the match. It was boring. It was a great match. It was a match, but we don't always need hour-long matches between these guys that we know can go an hour. We had Bryan and Kenny do it, when Bryan first debuted. We have Bryan and Adam do it last night. I don't see the need for that all the time from Bryan Danielson. We know Bryan Danielson can wrestle an hour or 90 minutes or even 2 hours. And, he can do that. Doesn't mean he has to do it. He can handle a loss. His career, his status in the company, he could have lost to Paige. And Aaron, you mentioned, the whole sportsmanship thing at the end where he snaps. Bryan Danielson comes from Ring of Honor, the whole code of honor thing. You shake hands before and after a match. That's how he was brought up, if you will, in the business. So I don't see a problem with him shaking hands one way or the other. If he does snap, cool. Then we get a little bit of the crazy American Dragon, which is always good. As far as Hook, I was impressed. I didn't expect to be, but I was very impressed at how Hook performed when he debuted, and I look forward to more from him.
So you're a hooker. Stan, are you a hooker?
I don't think Stan has used that terminology, but I am a fan of Hooks, yes.
Like, I didn't warm up to Roman Reigns until probably the night after he beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. I mean, it takes a lot, right? I mean, you can call me a front runner then, but you got to earn my fandom. All right, Jargo, I'm going to come over to you. I know Robbie's waiting patiently after that opening soliloquy he had, but we'll get back to you. But Jargo, thoughts here?
I have a lot of different thoughts. As far as Danielson and Paige goes, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was very, very good. And I have absolutely no qualms with it. Because I feel like they did advance an awful lot inside of this match. You added to the Bryan Danielson character, who is unbeaten still inside of AEW, but he did not beat the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Kenny Omega. He could not beat AEW World Heavyweight Champion Hangman Adam Page. So suddenly Danielson has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. It makes him dangerous, and I like that for Bryan Danielson. You have Hangman Page, who is kind of questioning his own existence inside of AEW. He's finally climbed the mountain, but nobody feels like he belongs there. I'm not even sure Hangman feels like he belongs there, but suddenly he goes out and he goes 60 minutes with Bryan Danielson. And while he didn't beat him, he absolutely solidified himself as one of the best in the world by going out and having a 60-minute Broadway with Bryan Danielson. It helps out Hangman Page all the way around. You have a creative program going forward because people are already clamoring for the rematch between Page and Danielson. I mean, I feel like everybody, including the promotion, got over inside of this match. And if that makes it a success, then I write it up as a success. We talk about that not every match needs to go an hour. As far as I know, this is the first time that they've had a match go an hour. Kenny and Bryan went only for 30 minutes because it was not a championship match. All championship matches inside of AEW has been established. There's a 60-minute time limit. So it was for the title. They go 60 minutes. I feel like everything about this, whether it be, the prestige of the championship, where the promotion's going as we head towards the next pay-per-view in a couple of months, the big TBS change, Hangman's title reign, Danielson is a title contender. I feel like everybody benefited from this match, so I don't see any problems with it.
All right. Any thoughts on Hook?
I mean, I thought Hook was good. I didn't think he was great. I thought his offense looked really, really good. It looked very believable being, from that judo background.
Yeah.
But I also thought that his selling looked awful. Fuego hit him with a drop kick that sent him into the corner. And it was the most cartoonish thing that I think I saw on Rampage. And Rampage was basically a cartoon. I didn't think that was good. I need to see a lot more of him. I'm certainly not a hooker, but I do enjoy the blow.
Gotcha. And you described what I feel about him to a T. All right, Robbie, back over to you. Here's the thing. When I think of the Page versus Danielson match, earlier in the year, Bryan Daniel was pinned by Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Just imagine if they would have did something as simple as let Hangman Page pin him on TV. Bryan would have still been fine. and now you have your AEW World Champion beating the guy that Roman Reigns beat. I know, right? But they're looking at the competition because they bring it up in promos.
Wait. Let me address that real quick.
Go ahead.
Roman Reigns did not beat Bryan Danielson. Roman Reigns beat Daniel Bryan. It's a completely different character on a completely different TV show.
Whatever, dude. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's the same goddamn guy because we know it. We know it's not.
He's right.
Right. Kevin Nash and Diesel are two different people, but when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall came out there, people recognized them as Razor Ramon and Scott Hall.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, Jargo. I'm going to give the floor to Robbie.
I'm just saying they're two different narratives.
I guess, but I would have still had Hangman win that match. But anyway, Robbie.
I mean, I commend these guys for going 60 minutes. You know, I can't nap for 60 minutes without being tired. So kudos to them for being in great shape. But here's the thing. I am not the target audience for a match like this because
Neither
I understand. Yeah, the characters, while themselves are large and they're important in the storyline of AEW, I mean, I feel like this should have been a match where this should have been like the second match in a series where like maybe this match Hangman got the better of Bryan Danielson and Bryan, like first he gets up, he chalks it off, you know, like, oh, you got lucky, you caught me off guard. But maybe over the next couple of weeks he gets more and more upset. And then you have him eventually snap, and then they have like a 60-man match, or maybe that's the blow-off match or the end of feud. And then I'd be invested in it. Then I'd be like, oh man, these guys have been fighting for a while. I know why they're fighting. I understand the implication of all of this stuff, and it makes sense. But I'm just not the guy to sit and watch a 60-minute match. I don't care who's doing it. It's just not for me. I find it kind of boring. You know, like about 20 minutes into it, I realized as I look at the time, I'm like, oh my God, this is going to go the rest of the night. Right. 45 minutes into it, you know, and my rule was during this whole thing, I can't be on my phone. I can't be on my Switch. So I'm just waiting for this thing to be over. And like near the end, like I was more excited that it was finally over than I was with the match. Great work quality. I'm not the target audience for a match like this.
All right. And are you a hooker?
I mean, I think he's good. I think he has a lot of promise. I don't necessarily know if he's ready for big time TV or like a big push that they're likely going to give him because nepotism is alive and well in all of professional wrestling, and it has been for, I think, ever. But yeah, I think he has potential. I think the whole connection with his dad or Taz and all this other stuff is interesting. I think he has a great look. I think he has something that could be marketed. It just depends on how they use him. But I see the world of potential in that kid.
Cool. Moving on, Aaron. I think another super chat popped up. Did it?
Yeah, let's get to that. Your good friend Mo Camera sent in a $2.79 super chat. Thank you, Mo. He says, Tony Khan makes stars, Vince buries. Long-term booking.
Name one star that Tony Khan has created that Vince buried that is a main event draw now. Name one.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen anybody jump from AEW to WWE yet, have we?
No, but I'm saying, who has Vince buried and gotten rid of that Tony Khan has built up into a main event star with global recognition like they would be if they got pushed through the WWE machine? Name one.
I think Miro's getting really goddamn close.
Miro's off TV every other week.
Good.
What are you talking about?
Good. I don't view that as a bad thing. What people say, oh, AEW's got too many people. No, it keeps them special. Dude. I like not seeing Miro every week. I like not seeing Miro go out there for being overexposed for 10, 15 minutes on a microphone. Like that's roster depth to me. That's what I want to see.
I remember the bold strategy of not putting Stone Cold on every week just so the fans wouldn't get sick of him. Like that whole fade and in and out thing he had was just really, really positive for his career.
Aaron,
if you have a main event star, you put him on TV. If you're building someone you want people to take seriously, they should be on TV. Otherwise, I remember I'm watching it week to week and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that guy existed because he's not doing anything meaningful.
Well, wrestling fans tend to have short attention spans, so it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind when somebody's off
Absolutely.
TV.
Yeah.
They
if he's not important enough to be on TV, then why should I think about him if he's not on TV?
I mean, you both make valid points. I think you're both.
Put Aaron, put the chat up from Mo Camera there. It has Roman name in it, please. You see it?
Oh well, he sent in a $2.79 super chat. He says, "Shout out to Aaron, Mr. J, and TJS Devil's Reject."
Interesting. Then he had another one shortly after that with
What?
Roman in there.
That guy's crazy.
I'd like you to post that for a second, please.
This one?
Yeah. Look at the WWE roster. And this is from Mo Camera, the Roman Reigns hater. Everyone is a joke. And I'm not going to argue with him there, except for Roman, obviously. You all come around on Roman Reigns at some point. And whether that was a typo or not, Mo Camera, you just put over Roman Reigns as a star. Thank you. All right, Aaron, anything else before we move topics?
We're good.
All right, ready?
Wait, did he put over Roman Reigns as a star, or did
Absolutely.
he put over the fact that they actually protect Roman Reigns in the booking and they don't
No,
anybody else on the entire roster?
Read it. You just added a bunch of assumption to that with what you put. I read it for what it was. So Mo Camera putting over Roman Reigns right here on the NoDQ review number 166. Jargo, I'm coming over to you first on this next topic because I know you wanted to talk about it. Ready? Brock Lesnar. Is he a good babyface? And so we've seen him as the heel with Heyman. He's been a tweener before, and now he's playing a good old country bumpkin babyface. What's the means to an end here? And I know you wanted to talk about this, Jargo, so I'm going to start with you.
I view Brock Lesnar as Brock Lesnar, and people want to cheer Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is a badass. And I feel like this is kind of the same thing that we were just talking about Miro. We were talking about Bobby Lashley on Virtue's Rage. All these guys, all they do is go out there and just beat people up, and they want to get wins and they want to win championships. And what exactly about that makes them a heel? Like, what was Brock Lesnar doing even when he was framed as a heel? What was Brock Lesnar doing that made him a heel? Was he talking smack about the fans? Was he punching people in the penis? Like, what was it that made Brock Lesnar a heel other than he's a badass, and people want to cheer badasses, and we're finally embracing it with Brock Lesnar, and I think Brock is embracing it too. And I feel like people are there with Bobby Lashley at this point. Like, people want to cheer Bobby Lashley. He went out and buried the entire Raw roster on Monday night. Bobby Lashley's a badass. Why do I not want to cheer Bobby Lashley? What's Miro doing in AEW that makes him such a heel? He's going out, he's destroying people, he's beating them up, he wants to please their God and win championships. Like, that's a babyface trait to me. I don't understand why these guys are framed as heels to begin with, because they're just badasses people want to cheer.
True with Brock, but they put him with Heyman, and Heyman's always a heel there.
Right.
So that's probably why we associate Brock's run with Heyman as a heel, because of Heyman. But like you said, why do you think Roman grew on me? For that very reason, Brock Lesnar has always been one of my favorites because of that. He's a badass. And so whether he's a heel, a tweener, or what he's doing now, he's entertaining, and I like to see that. Santa, is Brock on your naughty list? He's been a good boy this year.
Not this year.
Okay.
I'll tell you that what though, Mo Camera's ever getting at least one lump of coal, at least one. Anyway, so as far as Brock, you make a good point. Brock with Heyman, instant heel. That's just how it's framed. That's how it works. You notice when Heyman turned on Brock in 2002, Brock was a babyface. When did he go heel again? When he aligned with Vince and the GM of SmackDown, who was Paul Heyman. Other than that, he's been with Heyman his entire career until just now. And the people want to cheer Brock. Like you said, he's a badass. He's not doing anything that make him a heel necessarily. He's just going out there and beating the crap out of people. People like to see that out of Brock Lesnar because that's what he is. Brock's a badass. So there's no reason to boo him right now. There is a reason to boo Roman Reigns if you're a traditional fan. You're going to boo the guy with Paul Heyman. Paul talks too much. You want to see the guy that he represents get the crap beat out of him. So they're going to boo Roman right now. Somebody mentioned in the chat a double turn. I don't see a need for that. I don't. Brock's doing great, doing the lumberjack who just comes out and randomly destroys people thing. Roman's doing great, as Roman's been doing the last 400, 500, whatever it's been days. So why change it up?
Thank you, Santa. And, I always look at it like we know who the big shots are in WWE, who Vince likes. And so whether they're supposed to be heel this time around, babyface. It's still the same two guys and the same two badasses, and it's weird. Paul Heyman's involved. Aaron, you have a super chat here before I go over to Robbie?
Yeah, thank you. Dwayne Atkinson sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Dwayne. He says, since his return, Has Brock cheated to win a match? Well, he's only been in like
He's
2
had
matches.
one match.
When has he ever cheated?
Yeah.
When is the last time Brock cheated to win a match?
I literally try to think. I can't remember anything.
Well, doesn't like Paul Heyman sometimes like?
I think he did that one time, didn't he? Or did he do it for Roman? Because Heyman typically takes no bumps and doesn't really get involved in the match. He just stands at the sideline and looks scared.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Virtue, we do have one more super chat here from Alberto Gomez. He sent in $5. He says 2003 babyface Lesnar was awesome. His segments with Kurt Angle were pure gold. When he made Kurt do push-ups in a backstage segment, classic. Didn't they kiss one time on TV?
Can't remember.
On the
I don't
lips?
remember that. God. Wow.
They wanted to go that direction with Lesnar for a while.
I mean, I remember when Brock was with Heyman when he won Money in the Bank, he was kind of like being goofy with the boom, making it like a boom box. You know, so Brock can be an entertaining guy. I mean, heck, when he was in UFC, he cut some of the best promos of his life.
Well, I remember a few years ago when he was using the Money in the Bank briefcase as a boom box. That was great stuff. And Brock with R-Truth.
Wait. Didn't I just say, Aaron, I just said that. Did you not hear it?
He literally just said that, Aaron.
But anyway, no, that's a good point, though.
There's a huge misconception that Brock Lesnar needed Paul Heyman to talk for him. The reality is they just didn't trust Brock Lesnar with a live microphone on national television because you never know what's going to come out of his mouth.
Because didn't he like do profanity in UFC?
Well, I mean, even WWE. I mean, like for years, my favorite Brock Lesnar promo was, "I don't give a shit about your kids." Like, I mean, you know, like that was great against Heath Slater, right? Like Brock Lesnar can talk. It's just they don't trust him to stick to the script and, you know, do what they want him to do. So they had Paul Heyman do it for him while he just stood there and looked menacing.
Exactly. Aaron, I'm going to pass it over to Robbie. Robbie, go ahead here on Brock Lesnar and his current state. Now, I know you've been watching AEW a lot, so I'm sure you've caught some. You had to have caught some clips on Twitter of Brock recently, no?
I did absolutely no work from home today. I literally watched WWE. So if my boss ever sees this video and sees my productivity for today, he'll know why. Look, I don't think Lesnar's ever been a face or a heel. I think it just comes down to whether if he comes out in a bad mood or a really, really bad mood. And that just that decides what his allegiance is at that time. I don't know. I think Lesnar sucks. I think him coming out serious, determined, and just like an unstoppable wrecking machine and leaving, that's the Lesnar that I like the most. This Lesnar is fine. Not my favorite, like I said. I want to see the guy that doesn't care about anything. But yeah, I agree with Jargo too, that I don't give a shit about your kids. Like that was great. And that's the sad thing that they just try to stop in WWE. That's one of my biggest critiques of that company is like, there's so many organic things and a lot of these guys are so good on the stick that they can just have those one-liners and it feels real and it actually makes the story matter. I don't know what I'm talking about. Stories mattering and things making sense. It's just like wishful
You
thinking
want to
at this
see
point.
that Brock that you just described versus that Lashley that you like. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's what everyone wants. We want to see the actual big badass Brock Lesnar and the big badass Lashley, and we want to see them smash into each other for like 15 minutes until they're dead. And you know what I mean? There's like a bloody heap, the set's broken, and that's something I've wanted to see for like 20 years at this point. It's been a long time.
I'll make it one better for you. Let's do Brock Lesnar as the champion of the universe versus Bobby Lashley as the champion of the WWE. And let's do it in the main event of WrestleMania with 3 months to build up to it and show what two big badasses can actually do and unify this damn title.
I'd be fine with that if you give me Roman and The Rock as a side main event. I'd take that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say no to that match, but so if you're going to ask me, would I rather see that Lashley versus that Bobby Lashley versus that Lesnar or The Rock versus Reigns? I would rather see the Lesnar Lashley match.
Absolutely.
It's close. It's close.
It's same here, but I'm like you guys, but the other way around. But
like
but I want to watch both of them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So like that's not a bad thing.
For me, the thing is coming out of Lesnar versus Lashley, their storyline going forward, coming out of Rock versus Roman. I mean, I feel like that's a one and done.
Yeah, that's true. Aaron, what would you like to add to this?
I just find Brock Lesnar to be very entertaining regardless of what he's doing. And I like what he's doing with Sami Zayn just because it's a change of pace. We saw him standing there looking menacing with Paul Heyman, and sometimes he would not really say anything, or he'd hit one F5 and then leave. I like that he's actually doing longer segments and he's talking, and he changed up his look. I like the overalls. I just like the change of pace. It's something different.
Flip phone.
Yeah, the flip phone was great too. It's
so
entertaining.
Brock Lesnar.
And ultimately, I tune into a show to be entertained, and Brock Lesnar entertains me regardless of what he's doing. So
you could give me a buddy cop movie with Sami Zayn and Brock Lesnar, and I would pay to watch it.
Yeah,
that was entertaining stuff with Sami Zayn the past few weeks, even though Sami Zayn got squashed.
Now, if they sat out there for an hour and talked, no matter how entertaining they are, I might get bored with it after a while.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah,
what if
that's
Sami Zayn took Brock Lesnar to 30 minutes on live TV, just like that one random no-name guy did with MJF this past week? Would that be okay?
Sure, why not?
What random guy went 30 minutes with MJF this week?
I don't know. Who fought him for the diamond ring match?
It didn't go 30 minutes. Otherwise, it would have been a draw.
Okay, well, it went 20
Lawyer!
minutes too long.
Did it even have time to go?
Robbie, you must have watched a lot of wrestling the past month. It all blended in, didn't it?
I do. I feel like I have PTSD. Yeah, it's a lot.
All right. Well, yes, Aaron. Anything else?
Let's get to these other super chats. Walter Cruz sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. He says, "Let's not forget Hogan, Austin, Warrior, Undertaker, Cena, Roman, Vince. Does not know how to make stars. He just has a mold that certain people must fit."
I would push back on that and say that every measurable fan metric under the reign of John Cena went down over the course of 15 years. And I'm still not convinced that Roman Reigns is a star unless the letters WWE are on the marquee in front of his name.
Ooh, we're going to be talking about that and Okada at some point. Remember, we have to wait till closer to Wrestle Kingdom because Okada's big match. God, I can't wait.
But Virtue, what's the stock price for WWE right now?
It's like 47 to 50. You know, it's weird. They go up to 60, go down to 45. But I remember when it was
100 about 2 years ago.
That was that wasn't very long. But it was $10 to $15 or under 20 for a decade for like most of its existence. And then boom, now we're talking $45 to $50 stock. Yeah, you're right. It was up to 100.
And that was because of the TV deals, not because of Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns was right there. Hey, or it's because of John Cena. He paved the way, right, to boost it up for that TV deal, right? I mean, if you want to say it's not Roman Reigns, Cena was the placeholder all that time, and then boom, as his career's winding down, they get all this big TV deal and stuff. Cena, now granted, it's their tape library and all this stuff, but John Cena for all those years, who says it's not John Cena that the stock price didn't get up to where it is? Because
who says it's not John Cena that made them lose 80% of their audience over the course of 15 years?
And okay, so let me ask you this. So people were saying, I think it might have been Mo Camera, how WWE's not filling the arenas.
Well, yeah, let me put that up here. Mo Camera sent in a $2.79 super chat. He says, WWE is big leagues with half-empty arenas now, shaking my head.
Because wrestling just isn't cool. AEW claims to sell more tickets than them, but yet during their events, there's a lot of empty seats in there. Explain that. They're moving people around. How do you have 8,000 tickets and there's probably only 5,000 people in the building? There's just weird things going on.
Personal seat license.
But just let's face it, like wrestling fans like wrestling. Casual fans have gone away, and those are the empty seats. And I don't know else how to explain it. I mean, there's still a few things. CM Punk keeps a few casuals that remembered him versus John Cena and all that 10 years ago. He keeps a few of them interested. Roman Reigns has that appeal with kids and women. He keeps some of them casuals interested. But you're right. Nobody does it like they used to. What fault is that? The owners of the companies for booking and writing the way they do? I don't know. Aaron, how many more super chats we got?
All right, Alberto Gomez sent in a $2 super chat, and then we'll be caught up. He says, Brock and Sammy, the Canadian brothers.
That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, I would be fine with them doing more segments together. I'm enjoying them.
Wouldn't that be funny if they came out in like Mountie uniforms or something like that, or I don't know. That's WWE comedy, though. Remember
Yeah.
the Fabulous Rougeaus?
I don't know if they'll go that far, but hey, they might do more with Sammy. Maybe Sammy signs a new deal with WWE, just like a certain other person.
Well, that's a great segue because we're going to head to the main event here, and we'll probably be talking about this a while. Santa, see you bopping in and out. I know you got to manage the elves in the workshop there, but here we go. Shocker. Kevin Owens, you gave him an early Christmas present. He's staying with WWE. We don't know the exact details, but it's 7 figures, multiple years. So, Santa, you got to have some input there because everybody over on the AEW side, fan-wise, thought he was for sure going over there like they all do. And here's KO staying as Kevin Owens, not Kevin Steen. And, of course, the MJF rumor, right? We can talk a little bit about that, but I think he's an AEW lifer. What do you think?
Well, first of all, you're welcome. WWE Kevin Owens re-signing with them. I'm got to take credit for that, so thank you for that. As far as I'm glad Kevin's staying with WWE. I think that he could very easily go to AEW and have great matches and great storylines with the people he worked with many times over the years prior to coming to WWE that are all in AEW now. But he also can work with the people that are still in WWE and people that are coming up through the system and do great things with those people too. It's all about the writing that's presented to them. You guys have been talking about it for the last few minutes here as far as who's to blame for the downward turn of wrestling fandom. It depends how the product's presented. And I think Kevin, for whatever reason, feels that he has a better chance of having better content out of his character and out of his portfolio staying with WWE. So good on him for taking that stand and actually saying, hey, I believe in staying here rather than running, to his Undisputed Era buddies and the Young Bucks to the refuge, if you will, of AEW, like Rick Rude did, talking about, swim to the refuge of the NWO. It's like, no, I'm good where I'm at. Thanks.
Well said, Santa. Now, Robbie, I'm going to come right back over to you.
I mean, good for him. I like to see people get paid. I like to see people, make money and support their families. I think he saw the writing on the wall. I mean, let's face it, AEW probably has at this point a more bloated roster than WWE has. They have a lot less television time than WWE has. And, a lot of those guys don't get to be featured on TV every week. And that's, you get your name out there, you make your money by being on TV. That's how you make money, right? And KO is frequently featured on WWE programming. And if he feels comfortable with it, I have no reason to question it. I'm happy for him, and I hope he made a boatload of cash. And even if he gets cut, like people are like, oh, budget cuts in 2 years. His contract is probably 3 years, and he still made bank, so who cares?
Now, look at Kevin Owens. WWE's treated him well. Comes in, debuts against John Cena, was a Universal Champion, had a thing going with Triple H there, the friendship and the feud with Jericho, recent matches against Roman Reigns. I mean, I know that thing happened at WrestleMania where him and Jericho went on second for the U.S. title. Maybe they should have been in the main event that year. But, I mean, he's been treated pretty well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Virtue. That's one thing that I've noticed on social media from both sides. Like, they're always trying to say this guy's not being used. He would have been used better somewhere else. The AEW fans think Owens would be better in AEW. WWE fans think he's better in WWE. And I think Owens has had a pretty good run in WWE, all things considered, up to this point. He's done very well for himself. He's either been in the upper card or he's been in the main event. He had those matches with Roman Reigns. And people say, like, he's not being used to his full potential. Well, the matches with Roman were excellent, other than that mishap with the handcuff and Paul Heyman at the end of the Rumble match. That was a hell of a match. That was great stuff from those guys. And Owens has been in a lot of really top-tier matches in WWE over the past several years. So I think he's done very well, and I think he has been pushed maybe to as far as he can go physically. He is getting up there, and the fact that they wanted to sign him, and I'm a little surprised at the number. That seems pretty high considering that Braun Strowman was said to be like $1 million.
They trust him. He's a reliable guy that you're going to get good matches out of. They trust him with the microphone to make all of his comments and not to go too far. He's reliable and trustworthy. And to Vince, that type of loyalty gets rewarded over time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
because dude, KO has done some really amazing Festival of Friendship, some of the best stuff I've seen in wrestling the past decade, and he's done some really terrible, like just dumb, kind of boring or just meaningless things. But dude, look, I mean, Kane made a career out of just saying, okay, Vince, let's do it. You know, let's make it happen. He was a team player. He was safe and he was reliable. That's how you make a long career. No one knows what AEW is going to be in 10 years. We all hope it's still around because we like competition, but man, you get in with Vince and you stay loyal to him during times like this. When you can leave, he'll pay you forever unless you're referee Mike Chioda.
Well, that's a good point. The fact that they would sign him and pay him the big bucks shows that Vince trusts him and sees him as a real asset to the company. So if I'm Kevin Owens, you know, I feel honored that these guys value me so much that they're willing to pay me this much money, and good for him, good for his family. Yep. And, you know, he's one of the most likable guys in and out of the ring. So more power to him. Happy to see him sticking around. And I think he'll do well. Would he have done well in AEW? Probably, but they also have a very bloated roster and they got more potential free agents coming in soon. And maybe he just figured, you know what, they're offering me good money and he's got a pretty good spot. He's going to be in the world title match. Granted, it's not the main event, but he's going to be in the WWE title match at day one. And he might even get the title again. Who knows? He might get rewarded for signing that new contract. We'll have to wait and see. Let me get to a few of these super chats here. We got one from Johnny Boy. He says, glad Owens is staying. Probably saw AEW's views are low. Well, at the end of the day, if they paid him as much money as WWE paid him, then
he'd probably go.
Yeah, but the fact is he signed before even allowing his contract to expire. So it's not like AEW could have negotiated with him. They would have had to have waited until his deal was up. So I just think he decided to stay with where things are going good for him. And he seemed to be having a good time. This live event in Saginaw, Michigan, I was at that show, and he seemed to be having a fun time. He grabbed the fan's hat and went into the ring wearing the hat, and Biggie gave him the stunner and the hat flew off. You know, he's having fun. I think he's having fun, and, you know, good for him. And Mo Camera sent in a $2.79 super chat. Going back to earlier, he says, John Cena chased away millions over 15 years. What do you think about that, Virtue? Well, that kind of contradicts what Mo Cameron was saying earlier about the half-empty arenas, because when John Cena was announced for those live events this summer, those numbers went up. So that doesn't sound like chasing away people to me. That sounds like Cena is the reason they got some pretty good numbers over the summer, and those numbers have dropped now that he's away. If anything, Cena's bringing back people that gave up on WWE.
Look people at the attendance Cena 15 years ago, and look at the attendance now, though, Aaron. I like, yeah, he might be bringing in some more people now, but he chased off a lot more people over the course of the years. I feel like that's the point.
Or wrestling he did, or WWE did. Both. You know what I mean? Like he did it. I mean,
both. I feel like WWE's insistence on going with John Cena so hard over the course of the years is part of the equation here.
But that's not John's decision. Ultimately, he does what he's told.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not necessarily blaming John.
Here's what we forget during this whole Roman Cena stuff. This 15 years, WWE was going PG. They were going. I mean, this is just what they were doing. They were going to force that hand no matter what, and those were the guys we were going to get at the top. And
for better or worse,
I do like when there's complimentary top stars like a revolving door. They have got it. At least when Cena was on top, they still had a lot. Now with Roman, it's bare. I mean, and they got the brand. Like it's bare. Santa, were you going to add something else to this earlier? I saw you put your finger up.
Well, I just wanted to point out a couple of things. You made a good point just now, Virtue. They were going to go PG no matter who was on top at the point they went PG, because that's the direction they had to go to sustain their product at the time. And I remember, I'll never forget this as long as Santa exists, which is going to be forever apparently. You know, Paul Heyman, when they did that ECW retrospective, I think it was 2014 when the network first launched, and Joey Styles asked Paul, that the question came in from the viewers, who would you draft to ECW now? And the first person he said was John Cena. And Joey Styles looked at him like he had three heads. Like, how could you possibly draft John Cena in the ECW? John Cena was champion longer, he was the guy over a longer period of time than Hulk Hogan, than Steve Austin, even than Bruno Sammartino. And while he was the WWE champion or the flagship guy, he was also making media appearances. He was also appearing on film and television. He was also doing everything that Hulk Hogan wished he could have done 20 years ago. Everything that Steve Austin was trying to do post-injury, 15 years ago.
Didn't he break Make-A-Wish records?
Every Raw or every SmackDown, every pay-per-view.
Santa didn't seem to break Make-A-Wish records.
John continues to break Make-A-Wish records now. Like he outdoes me, for crying out loud. That's saying something. So John Cena is the fact that John Cena was Paul Heyman's first EGW draft said everything for me, because that's the guy you want to lead your company down the path of future existence. I'm on board with that. And the people that say that John Cena drove people away over the 15 years, no, the WWE product as a whole, the fact that I will agree with Jargo, the fact that the going with John Cena is what killed it, because they didn't let anybody, get over on that. Just like what's happening now. Roman steamrolled everybody. At least John, lost once in a while.
What?
Roman did lose before this version of himself.
Exactly.
Let's go back to Kevin Owens a little bit.
Well, Jargo, it's your turn on the Kevin Owens topic, so we'll go there.
I think one thing that really gets lost in the conversation is the relationship between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. We know how much Vince McMahon loves Chris Jericho, that Chris Jericho always had Vince McMahon's ear. That's where the Kevin Owens-Vince McMahon relationship develops. So I think Vince may actually look at Kevin Owens a bit more valuable than people think that he would actually perceive Owens to be. The other thing is, what would Owens' value be to AEW? He would be incredibly valuable, which makes him more valuable to the WWE. I do not fault Kevin Owens whatsoever. The offer that I've heard is between $2 and $3 million over the course of 2 to 3 years.
Bank.
Good for Kevin Owens, right? Kevin Owens grew up a WWF fan. He grew up a WWE fan. He learned how to speak English through the WWF and Jim Ross's commentary. It makes sense that Kevin Owens wants to stay inside of that number 2 spot. We know he's never going to be Roman Reigns. He's never going to be the guy that they are going to put on the poster and say, you are the face of the WWE. But he could be that number 2. He could be that Triple H. He could be that Stone Cold Steve Austin, everyman character who gets his run on top, and he's always chasing, whether it be an authority figure, whether it be the champion, and make the company a whole bunch of money. Kevin Owens also could be the first guy that we look at and we say he did not go to AEW because where would he fit on that roster? Yep. The AEW roster is very, very top heavy. When you look at where Kevin Owens would be on the AEW roster, would he be Adam Cole? Would he be doing the Rushmore thing and dressing up as a member of the Young Bucks and going out there and doing stupid comedy stuff? Or would you rather be in the WWE and potentially be the Universal Champion come WrestleMania and maybe get a co-headlining match alongside of Roman Reigns, who is going to be the face on the poster? And you know your place inside of the business. And as much as we want to see Kevin Steen and all the insane things that Kevin Steen done over the years, he did all those insane things so that now at, 37, 38 years old, he ain't got to do that anymore. And he can just get paid $2 to $3 million over the course of the next 3 years. Call it good. Go back to freaking Canada and raise his kids.
And in the last 5 years, Jargo, who's probably took the most crazy bumps on that roster now? Kevin Owens.
Absolutely.
And Vince's son Shane used to do that. And that could be some more affinity of why Vince likes this guy. So good for Kevin Owens.
And you might get those insane bumps once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Whereas if he was in AEW, you got Cody putting you through flaming tables. Like, who the hell wants to do that? I'll go cut a promo for 15 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
Aaron, I saw some super chat pop in there. Maybe 2.
Yeah, we got a couple here. Mo Camera sent in $2.79. He said, last time Roman Reigns lost clean was against Bobby, shaking my head.
Well, yawn. Next comment.
Yeah. Again, as we've talked about with Roman Reigns, the ultimate goal should be somebody's got to rise up and be the guy to not only challenge Roman, but to beat him. And the problem is they really don't have that guy on the horizon.
Yep.
I have no problem with Roman Reigns being a dominant champion. You just gotta build up somebody to eventually take him down. And they don't have that guy. I mean, could it be Braun Breaker? Maybe. I thought Karrion Kross might have been a possibility, but we saw how that worked out. Thought maybe Keith Lee could have been that guy. We saw how that worked out. So hard to say right now who's going to be that guy. I don't know. And Alberto Gomez sent in a $5 super chat here on the topic of John Cena. He says, do you think John Cena would have still been booed even at One Night Stand if he was the edgy Thugonomics character? I always wanted to ask this. I'll go first here. Absolutely 100%. That crowd was going to boo anything WWE. Doesn't matter what John Cena was doing. John Cena represented the establishment. Anybody who was a WWE bred guy was going to be seen as the establishment, and doesn't matter. They were going to get booed.
There was a comment earlier about John Cena inside of ECW and how he wouldn't have lasted like one bump, he would have been done. I don't believe that to be the case because John Cena, more than anybody else over the course of WWE history, has done exactly whatever you have asked him to do. If you wanted John Cena to go out there and be Nick Gage and get hit over the head with light tubes, John Cena would have learned how to do that. I mean, the guy literally learned how to speak Mandarin in the course of a month just to go do a damn press conference. If that's what John Cena needed to do to get over, John Cena would have done that because that was John Cena.
Well, Jargo, the thing is, people don't understand that WWE is appealing to a family audience. I was at that Saginaw show last weekend, and it was mostly kids. Mm-hmm. It's a family-friendly product. WWE caters to kids. John Cena was a family-friendly character, and a lot of us older fans resented it, and it did turn off some people, but that's just the way things are. WWE is trying to build up the next generation of fans, just like they're building new stars. Well, at least in theory, they're trying to build new stars. They're also trying to get those adult fans to get their kids into wrestling and keep the cycle going, for the sake of business. You want to have these young kids grow up to be fans, and then they have kids and they become fans too. So with John Cena, he was a family-friendly character, and yeah, I think they could have turned him heel at some point. They made that mistake, but all in all, Cena had a great career, and I think WWE's decline would have been even faster if there was no John Cena there. Quite frankly, I think the popularity would have. I mean, maybe not. The WWE brand is so powerful that maybe they would have been okay.
The shift was like it was either you were going with John Cena or you were going with Dave Bautista. It was one of the two, right? And it was if you go with John Cena, you're going the PG route. If they would have went with Dave Bautista, they would have stayed on Ruthless Aggression, and who knows where that would have went.
Yeah, and Nick Lavin makes a good point here. Young kids watched in the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression. That's very true. And even during the Attitude Era, WWE marketed towards kids. I mean, they had Steve Austin bed sets and DX bed sets, and I mean, let's be real here.
Those Wrestle Buddy things, right?
How many little kids got suspended telling their teachers to suck it throughout the course of the 90s?
That was a problem in my school growing up. That and the Beavis and Butthead laugh, I think. Those were the things that got us all in trouble.
Yeah, very much so. And Alberto Gomez sent in a $4 super chat. Thank you, Alberto. We're going to get to Santa here in a second. Alberto Gomez sent in $4. He says, I never wanted KO to leave. Glad he's staying. And I think we're all pretty happy for KO. Santa?
Very happy for Kevin. And Aaron, you mentioned earlier that some people on social media were saying Kevin was living up to his potential. Y'all realize how long he was wrestling before WWE signed him? Like, what is there left for this guy to do except make a crud of money in WWE? I mean, really,
exactly.
What's left for him to do at this point? And as far as the Attitude Era with the kids thing, Aaron can vouch for this because he lived in the same town as Jeff for a while. The local movie theater down the hill from Jeff's house used to have in the bathroom the WWF branded condoms. So that's how they're appealing to a wide base of folks. So it's just
Santa, you're gonna have to trim your beard soon. It's covering up your mouth.
I'm sorry.
You're gonna
Sammy,
have to
phone's
trim your
going off.
beard soon. It's covering up your mouth.
Well, it's also the camera issue here at North Pole. We have very poor reception up here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And
Just
also,
think, we went from Shawn Michaels in Playgirl magazine to John Cena in the PG era in about 6 years.
that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, well,
Maybe not 6 years. I think it was maybe more like 12.
more like 10. More like 10.
Well, what was Playgirl? 96 and WWE
96
in 2008.
96, 97. Cena
Yeah,
was
but still-
08. It was that late. It seemed
That's where
way
WWE went
earlier.
PG. Like the Cena character started becoming what it became in 2005, but the company
That's when
didn't go PG till 2008.
When his move
Well,
was
you
the FU
remember, Aaron,
before
the
then,
whole
right?
feud with Jericho and Cena was over their music career, so he was still doing the rap thing, but he was booed going into that match. That's where it really started.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got another super chat here. Mike D sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Mike D. He says, interesting photo with Nick Khan and The Rock. Vince Russo thinks Rock and Khan could be the next owners of WWE down the road. That's very interesting. Like I've seen some rumblings about Nick Khan possibly being the guy in charge when Vince dies. I mean, I don't think Vince is retiring, but yeah, I could definitely see that as a possibility that Nick Khan actually takes over the company rather than Triple H or Shane McMahon. What do you think, Virtue?
Jargo, I'm going to pass it over to you. Remember what you said on the other show about this?
Oh, go ahead.
Nick Khan is. Are you talking about the Magic Johnson comparison?
Yes. Yeah. Like, because I can't just see Dwayne Johnson and Nick Khan being the owners of WWE. However,
I could see, like, when you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, Magic Johnson is a minority owner of the LA Dodgers, but he is the face of the ownership group when it comes time for, TV negotiations, any kind of business negotiations. Magic Johnson is the guy they send in. I could see Dwayne Johnson buying like 2% of the WWE and being that face that's going out and selling it to an investment group. And Nick Khan is known throughout the television industry as the guy that you bring in when you are trying to sell a major corporation. That's what Nick Khan does. I could see like Nick Khan and Dwayne Johnson getting into bed with like an NBC Universal. So where you have the big star, you have the TV producer, you have the TV company, and that ownership group would buy the WWE. Nick Khan and Dwayne Johnson, between the two of them, don't have nearly enough money to even put a down payment on the WWE. It would be as part of a larger investment group like an NBC Universal.
Yep. Well said. I agree.
All right. Well, Mike D sent in another $5 super chat. He says, hell, Rock already bought XFL. Maybe WWE is next.
But you're talking millions versus billions.
Yeah. I mean, low end millions too.
Yeah. I mean, how much was the XFL really worth?
Like 49 million or something like that. Whereas WWE,
$49.
I think WWE, if I remember right, there is actually a clause to where the Saudi prince has the first right to buy WWE if it would become available. And I believe that figure is $7 billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
So billions. That's definitely going to take a corporation or a country.
You're talking Disney, NBC,
Yeah.
Netflix, something of a mass media conglomeration.
Well, Jargo, think about it this way: The Rock, Dwayne already has, he's got the ownership bug, owning the XFL. He has the show on NBC as it is, so there is a partnership there already. I don't really see that being too far fetched about, Dwayne and his company, $7 Productions, and Nick Khan partnered up with NBC Universal and buying WWE. If the time comes that Vince either steps down or passes away, it's not that far fetched to believe it could be a thing.
And to me, of all the companies, NBC Universal seems the most likely partner.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
We have a
We
few
got
more
some super chats. Yeah.
Yeah. let's
Rob,
get
you
to
still
this.
awake over there?
I'm here. I was actually just thinking how hilarious it'd be if it ended up being Turner Broadcasting buying WWE in the end.
That would be pretty funny.
Oh my God.
But I think that's highly unlikely and all.
Ted Turner could come out because he bought the rights to Vince's ashes. They'll just dump them all over the ring.
Oh my god!
Start doing the strut. I don't know, man. It'd be more entertaining.
They should just do that in kayfabe terms, just for fun.
Just because, yeah, seriously.
Mo Camera said Braun Breaker is too green. This was in regards to him possibly taking the top spot. Keep pushing, he won't reject. Yeah, I mean, this isn't something that's going to happen overnight, Santa.
Well, the thing is, like we talked about Hook earlier, Braun Breaker, he's still, fresh off the assembly line, man. Give him a year at least. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, but Braun Breaker's been put in there with the top guys, and he was in that War Games match, and he's been really solid for a guy that's only had 10 matches. He's picking it up pretty quickly, I think.
After the embarrassment, to fans of the Tuesday Night brand, he's been putting the top guys on NXT. Put him on Raw or SmackDown. We'll see if the Raw or SmackDown audience and the Raw and SmackDown rosters will have that kind of appreciation for him. I'm just saying.
After the embarrassment of him trying to be the breaker of chains at War Games with the wire cutters, I'm amazed he's still on television.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, maybe Vince did not see that. Maybe
that's my assumption.
Maybe Heyman spoke up for him.
Maybe.
Oh no, he'd be released if that was the case.
Right.
James sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, James. He says, "Can someone explain why Sam Roberts gets so much hate? He's a fan like the rest of us. His Peacock WWE show is great, and I personally love the guy."
Who?
I'll be more than happy to tell you why Sam Roberts gets so much hate. It's because Sam Roberts portrays himself to be a broadcaster and a journalist, and you can be neither one when you are under WWE contract and getting a payday. All of your objectivity is gone. You are a WWE stooge to the nth degree. And by the way, your beard looks stupid too. I got room to talk. Nice. All right.
That's what Meltzer did with AEW. People still buy his shit.
Do they? Does any intelligent wrestling fan that has read Dave Meltzer over the course of the last 20 years actually still buy his shit? Or...
I didn't say intelligent fans. I said AEW fans.
Yeah.
He still buys his minions.
Good distinction.
He's the leader of the cult. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah. There's a big difference between people and intelligent wrestling fans, and that's a wide ratio there.
Aaron, any other super chats?
No, and Sam Roberts, I just find the guy kind of annoying, and I'm not sure if he's actually getting paid. It might be a situation where he does the interviews and stuff on his show, and they bring him in, but I'm not even sure if he's actually getting paid for that gig. I think he's just happy to be there, kind of like Big G.
I'm sure money exchanges hands in some fashion.
Why would you pay
him
that
and Rosenberg guy? Both are obnoxious.
He's like, I got a $40,000 super chat today. That's crazy.
Yeah.
He did?
I don't know. That's probably what they would do.
Probably
back channel that money.
Well, so Aaron, are we caught up on the super chats?
Yeah, and by the way, Colin Andrew has a pretty sweet beard. I can. He
does, and we shouted him out earlier, and Big G, Jerry Slaughter, all the other NoDQ Galaxy team members. Now there was a topic. Aaron, there's a topic. I think we're going to push it to next week. I did want to talk more in depth about the rumor of MJF down the road leaving AEW. So we'll leave a little cliffhanger.
Because I did put that in the headline, so that would be false advertising. Well, here's the thing. I think he will be in WWE pretty soon. Not like
you do.
Until his contract is up, but when it is up, I think he's WWE bound. I feel like he is a good fit for WWE. He's got the mic skills, and he's a character. And WWE is about characters.
But it's PG, and he'd become like the American Del Rio. I think he's an AEW lifer.
Who knows how the landscape of WWE is going to change though in the next year or two? What
does anybody else think about MJF?
Could you imagine MJF walking into the creative room after 27 writers were sitting there and they handed him a piece of paper and said, "Yeah, go recite this."
I don't think they would.
I don't see him leaving AEW, and I think Tony Khan would overpay him to keep him.
I actually, so I agree with Aaron. I think he's going to the big time. You know, WWE is that's the mountain that you climb. I don't care what any of the fans think. I don't care what these other people think. That's the mountain to climb.
Let me say this. MJF is a businessman, and I think he truly will go where he's going to make the most money. If they pay him a ton of money to read from a script, I think he will read from a script. I think he will go where he's going to make the most money.
And Tony Khan will match it.
And I would not be surprised if MJF is the one that started the rumor that WWE is very, very interested in him. Just because he's price up.
Dude, he's on Twitter. He's commenting on Twitter all the time.
I believe it. I believe that the networks are interested in him because he goes out there and he's very entertaining, and he is one of those guys that can be a WWE star where he can go on the TV shows and make the media appearances. You know, the way he presents himself, he is an entertainer.
Dude, I'd love to see it because that cult base over there at the AEW side will melt down. So
but what does he do now?
I would love to see it.
What does he do now that he couldn't do in WWE? I mean, the middle finger, he'll do it, they'll blur it out, but I don't really see, he doesn't really say anything that's that bad.
No, it's not what he says. It's how he's booked. MJF wins matches in AEW, which is why the dirty slime ball character works. Inside of a WWE context, he goes 50-50. He gets defined down. He loses to guys like the freaking Miz, and suddenly all of his heat is gone because all he does is lose matches.
But at least he won't have to go 20 minutes with that no name he did on Wednesday, right?
Wow. We do have a few more super chats here. I don't know if Santa wants to say.
Is that guy a known wrestler, by the way? Am I being like awful and slanderous? Because I've never heard of him or seen him before that. Dante
Martin? Is that who you're talking about?
Dante, there we go. I couldn't think of it either.
I mean, he's kind of really just burst onto the scene over the course of the last 2 to 3 months while his brother's been injured. He's typically just part of a tag team.
That makes sense then. I mean, no disrespect to him. He just wrestles kind of like a tag team guy.
All right, let me get to a few more of these super chats. Walter Cruz sent in a $2 super chat, says, MJF isn't leaving. If he did, he would skip NXT. And again, we don't know what the state of NXT is going to be like in 2 years. We really don't know. But my gut feeling is he will go to WWE because I think they will pay him the money to make the jump.
MJF isn't tall enough for the new NXT 2.0. He's only
at some
5'11".
point, people are going to be going from the other side over to WWE. That's inevitable. Who's going to be that big name? Like, it's going to happen at some point. It's business.
Right. All right, let's see here. Santa, we'll get your thoughts on MJF. And we got a $2 super chat from Psycho Jet Black. He says, have you ever met George Hackenschmidt?
I did meet him when he was the world champion. Yes, very, very imposing figure, strong as a lion, just like he was nicknamed the Russian Lion.
Thank you for that. Is MJF? He's obviously on the naughty list, right? But what are your thoughts on him possibly going
constantly, perennially, and forever? Max is just a bad little boy. Shame on him. As far you all make very good points. I see it like this, and again, this is just one man's opinion. MJF's promos in WWE would be like homogenized. They'd be like the freaking light beer version of MJF's promos in AEW because the writers there wouldn't, know what to do with somebody that can speak the way that Max speaks on AEW TV. I think they would let him get lost in the shuffle, personally.
You don't think WWE would allow him what they allowed CM Punk to do?
If they would have allowed
guys that don't have
CM Punk to do it, he wouldn't have left in the first place. And if they let him get better, he wouldn't have left either. So no,
Punk left because he wasn't getting main event Mania spots.
Right.
He was still being able to say what he wanted to say on the promo.
There's people that don't have scripted promos in WWE. There's not a lot of them.
Very few.
And I think MJF is someone that, it just depends. And this, again, it comes down to what the KO. If with the interview process, if Vince feels he can trust this guy, he'll give him what he wants. And I feel like if the price is right, like Aaron said, I think he'll play ball. I think they'll meet somewhere in the middle. He'll have bullet points and have some things he's not allowed to say. But I don't really think the substance, because he doesn't say things that are that offensive. You know what I mean?
I want to see it, Robbie. Meltdown. AEW mob meltdown. Like, I want to see it.
You know what, man? Like, I've really thought about it. And I don't know if there would ever be a meltdown, because anytime those AEW fans really get upset, here comes mom walking downstairs with a fresh plate of cookies for them.
That's
so
true.
everything's always happy in the end.
And those, right when they're right out of the oven too, they're really good with cold
They're
milk.
pretty tasty. Yeah.
Look at Santa's getting all hungry over here.
Nice.
All right, Aaron, super chats.
Wait.
Finish this up.
Santa, you gonna show us your cookies?
You said the magic word.
We want to see your cookies, Santa.
When we do plugs, yes.
Oh, okay.
When
get
we
to
do
see
plugs,
those
I promise.
I'm ready.
We're
to
getting
see
close.
those
We just
cookies.
need Aaron to finish these super chats up.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we got here.
Sleepy.
Well, Psycho Jet Black has another super chat, and he wants to ask Santa a question. He says, Santa, what is the most overrated Christmas movie?
Die Hard.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie, though?
I don't
Yes,
think
Santa,
so,
you-
but
Oh.
the argument will go on longer than I live, for crying out loud. So, you know.
It happens during Christmas Eve, right?
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I know. Trust me.
That's his answer. He said Die Hard.
All right.
Die Hard.
Well, there you go.
Off the cuff, that's my answer.
All right, let's see what we got here. Mo Camera sent in a $2.79 super chat. Says, Mr. J, WWE went from 20 million to 1.4 million, laughing my effing ass off.
20 million.
Yeah.
Language, Mo
viewers.
Camera.
Oh.
Time out.
Viewership is what he's talking about.
But
Isn't there
Oh.
it's
20
the era
million
of social
viewers?
media, so let's add up their Twitter
So did
views.
TV.
Nobody cares, dude. They don't get paid off their Twitter views or their YouTube views.
First
or
of
their
all, they do
TikTok
make money
views.
off of YouTube.
They make a
bro.
lot of money.
They're
off
not
this stuff.
making billions of dollars like
They're
they're made
making
by
millions.
NBC Universal and Fox Network.
But where the lost viewers went from TV that are watching on YouTube, there's more income there than house shows. Right, Robbie? YouTube's the YouTube reach that WWE has. They're making some good little under the radar bank there.
Yeah,
people are
absolutely.
I mean, when over 70% of the company's revenue is coming from TV numbers,
and 20% is YouTube. That's still a big deal.
there's no way 20% is YouTube. So you mean 10% of all of WWE's revenue is live ticket
Dude,
sales
Jake
and
Paul
merchandise?
and those losers became millionaires off of YouTube, and they have a smaller reach than WWE. They're making money off
They're
of
not trying
WWE's
to be
making money,
millionaires. They're
but
trying
they're
to
making-
be billionaires.
Dude, they make money off their Facebook page because of advertising. They make money off of Twitter because of their They make money from social media.
Yeah,
Go
they
look at
are
your
making
books.
money.
Here's 2
but that's
cents
just a
for
drop
every
in the
$100
bucket.
bill.
But
They're-
it doesn't matter. It's still money that they're making. That it's a drop in the bucket because their other money is so big. But if
Right.
you go back to the old school way they made money, it's significant. It just looks puny because of the big TV deals. So it's still
Exactly.
something, but it's still something. Like it's not like just free. And I guess you could say it's advertising, but if you can watch it right there, why are you going to go watch it on TV when you can be done, right, Robbie? Watch
Because
a clip
it's
on the
supposed
internet
to be
and you're done.
so freaking good, Virtue, that, oh my God, I have to tune in on Monday night to see what's going to happen next.
Well, I don't know about
And
Monday.
rather
nights,
they
but
wait for the next YouTube clip.
Friday nights holding on by a thread. I don't know about Monday. Monday night.
No, he means back then, back in the day, not now.
Well, yeah, back in the day.
No,
but
they
like,
had good story back then. You know what I mean? Things made sense.
We got other
Yeah.
super chats.
Exactly.
Get them done.
No,
Aaron.
no more,
Roll.
please, God,
All right.
stop.
Yeah, we do have one more here. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you. He says, imagine MJF versus Dan Lambert in a promo battle.
It'd be awful.
Max
Who's the
would roast him
babyface?
to a crisp. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Dan Lambert
Why
can
would they
recite
go
and
against
memorize
each other,
lines. Yeah.
They're both
I-
like heels.
Who's the babyface? Like, there's nobody
Yeah.
likable in that.
MJF would be the babyface.
Then you're
Well,
just
when
costing
they
yourself
took-
millions of dollars over the course of the next couple of
Yeah,
years.
you got to get your money out of him as a heel before you ever consider. And so, Jargo, do you think MJF should ever be a babyface at some point?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
See, get the money out of him as a heel first, though.
Yep.
Right.
And,
Yep.
well,
When The
well,
Rock was a face, he was still a jerk to the people in the ring. You know,
Yeah,
he was opponents with. You know?
at a certain point, MJF is going to get so over, and you're starting to see it now, where MJF is getting so over with the fans that he's going to become Adam Cole, and people are going to start chanting along with his catchphrases and cheering him in the ring. You turn him
Just like
babyface,
The Rock.
and then he has to be a dickhead and turn on some other babyface in order to get his heat back, and then you can get another great heel run out of it.
Yep.
All right, let's see here. Mo Camera. Okay, here's an
More
interesting
money, more money.
one. Mo Camera says those YouTube views mostly come from the marks in India.
Facts.
Horse
Okay.
crap.
Who
Excuse me,
cares where
reindeer
they come
crap.
from?
That's not true at all.
Robbie,
Oh my
right?
God.
That just proves another
So-
point. WWE's global. We can't just focus on domestic attendance and domestic ratings.
I can tell you this. So with my job, I work with basically CEOs and presidents throughout my state, and I work directly with them in what I do. And if I told one of these guys, "Hey, I have something for you. You're going to make millions of dollars," but it's from these fucking marks in India, they're going to be like, "Oh, what? I don't know what that means, but let's do that. That sounds great." And sorry for my F-bomb, but I had to use it for emphasis.
Santa, is he on the
That's
number
all right.
list?
We're after
It's,
dark.
it's my first one on the NoDQ review in 5 years.
We're after dark. It's
We get one per show, don't we, Aaron? We usually get 1 or 2 per show, so it's okay.
And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, and then we can do plugs. He says, "Is Madcap Moss more over than the Easter Bunny?" No.
Nope.
We're talking to
Nope.
Easter Bunny during Christmas time. What?
Madcap Moss isn't even more over than Frank the Bunny from Donnie Darko.
Nice.
Or the bunny from the bunny from that one wrestler. Who was that wrestler?
Allie?
Bunny.
Adam Rose.
Yeah,
Adam-
from Adam
yeah,
Rose's
Rosebud.
Adam Rose.
background.
All right,
Yeah, exactly. Well, Madcap Moss is more over than Allie the Bunny on AEW, so there you go.
All right, well, we know how this works. We're going to do our plugs now. Santa, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, okay, cool.
Ho, ho,
Well,
ho.
you can follow exactly. You can follow me on social media
There you go.
over at Facebook at Santa Claus JDM and on Twitter at Santa Meech. You can also check out my official baking. I'm not going to say the word on television, but Nat A. And she makes these awesome cookies that are going to get distributed next week at the
Edibles.
Whiskey A Go-Go here on Sunset in Hollywood. There you go. Thank you for blowing that up, Aaron. Appreciate that. Those will be at the Paradise Kitty show next week. And so you can find her at bakedbylex.com. That was the thing that was up there. You took it down already. That's
Nice.
okay. Yeah, check her out and follow me on social media.
All right, well, good to have
So
you
you
on,
get-
Santa.
You can actually eat Santa Claus.
Yeah, I saw
What's
his
that?
face on that cookie. That was a little
No.
creepy.
Like the
Yeah.
cookie sounded good, and then you just ruined it, Aaron. You ruined it.
Oh,
Are
Robbie,
you going to hand them out and say, "Eat me"?
oh.
No comment.
All right, Robbie,
Different
over to
audience.
you.
Ah, man, I got nothing. I watched AEW for like 15 hours a week for the past four
Nice
weeks. I
detox.
don't even
He's
follow
tired.
me anymore. I've given
He's
up
an
on
ass.
life. I am just a destroyed, broken man. And I watch the Cavs, who are now also in COVID protocol. So FML, that's all I got today, man.
All right, well, thanks for being back, Robbie. And, of course, over to you, Jargo.
Across social media
Oh, my
platforms at Not Jargo. Of course, michaeljargo.com, at markmedia.com. And, of course, over at the Big V Mafia, the Big Vito brand. I got to throw that one out there before Vito tries to bury me again.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. And Aaron Rift.
So we actually got an interesting project coming up on Tuesday over on my personal channel at youtube.com/Aaron Rift. We will be doing a non-wrestling panel. Jargo's not going to be interested in it
That's
really,
the
but
cat channel, right, Aaron?
yeah.
I volunteered
Cat
for
Warrior.
this gig, and you
Dude.
didn't even ask me.
Hey, that's Aaron's cat channel that has more subscribers than this NoDQ wrestling channel.
right.
Where
Well,
the review should be.
Yeah.
we're going to be doing a panel about the Beatles, Jargo, and I thought you were not a big Beatles guy.
I'm not a big Beatles guy, but I can tell you why I'm
Hey.
not a big Beatles guy and make it make sense.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I need to. Ooh, not
Yeah,
good.
Santa Claus, what do you want to say?
Come on.
Well, see, I need to channel my inner Jeff for a minute. JJ, Jeff's co-host on his channel, is going to be making his NoDQ return for the first time since the SummerSlam 2010 craziness. So he's looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, his first actual panel appearance, so that'll be fun.
Yes, yeah,
And-
first time actually, properly involved in the show, no more than just a little casual cameo. So yeah, he's excited.
And Mr. Tito is going to be moderating it. So he's going to be in the virtue role for this Beatles panel. That's going to be interesting. He even said maybe we'll see more of Tito than we're used to seeing. We'll have to see what happens this coming Tuesday.
By the way, he hates me so much. He followed me again on Twitter. He just can't get enough.
Guess
He's a
not.
strange cat.
Can't get enough.
I'm gonna have to get a big oversized T-shirt and sit you guys both down and make you wear it together until you guys learn to become friends again.
Dude,
There you
I told Aaron, let's set up a video chat. We'll hash everything out and we'll do projects, right?
Be a Christmas miracle.
But anyway, Aaron, anything else?
Yeah, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $5 super chat. We are fully into After Dark now. He says, seriously,
Oh,
what
Lordy,
went
here we go.
wrong? What went wrong with
Yeah.
EC3 carrying Cross Keith Lee, Toastery have more talent than effing Machine, or no, Madcap Moss and his stupid suspenders. I don't even know what the hell he was saying here. Can
I think he
anybody
tried to say seriously have more talent, and it came out toastery because he's speaking in riddles.
Well, yeah, because he can't wait to type Madcap Moss. He doesn't focus on the other words he puts in there.
Backstage attitude issues, all three.
That's what I've heard.
Yep.
or what is being leaked out to the internet?
Yeah, just general dickbaggery.
Yeah, I mean,
really.
all three of them very,
Right.
very different cases, but it's backstage issues, all three.
Or so we're led to believe.
Oh yeah, Colin and I have a debate at some point. We got to do. I think Robbie, you and I have a debate. So I got some debate challengers here.
Would you say you're a master debater?
Yes, I wanted that shirt once.
Here we go. After dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I told Santa I wasn't going to be put on the naughty list, so that one was not approved.
I like
Anyways,
this one.
we did approve that shirt though, Virtue. So go ahead with your
We
plug.
did.
So yeah, go to nodq.com/merch. You can get the I'm Sorry Virtue shirt on the back. It says nodq.com and Virtue. But be sure to follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. I'm not a troll slayer anymore. Now, the AEW mob that comes after me, right, I'm going to obviously stand up for myself, but I'm not proactively going out there to call somebody a mark just because they disagree with me, this or that. And, hey, if I've blocked you and you're using a burner account or you see somebody send you a screenshot, just email me at nodqvirtue@gmail.com and tell me why I should unblock you, and I probably will. And some of you that just hate my guts, let's set up a Skype call. We'll hash it out face-to-face. We'll become good pals. We'll put all our differences behind us. That's all, Aaron.
I mean, I really want to debate, especially considering that the AEW fans, like, they come at me and say you're an effing idiot. And I want to have a debate. I'm up for doing a debate with anybody that has a problem with anything I said
will
about
moderate
AEW.
the crap out of that. I would absolutely love to moderate that.
And Virtue, like, these people that get mad, like, let them come on video. Let's talk face-to-face here on
That's fine with me.
StreamYard.
Yeah.
You know what? How
The
about
problem-
maybe on one of these reviews, we'll spend like the last 5 minutes and bring one guest on who really has a bone to pick, and we'll spend.
Mo
10
Camera,
minutes
isn't
with
he supposed to go on with Jeff Meacham? Was that the guy?
them. I don't even know who that is. You guys,
But
who
I mean,
is
Mo
that?
Camera's feeling real generous tonight, Aaron.
Yeah. All right, here he is again. Mo
Yeah.
Camera sent in $5. He says, if MJF
$7.
comes to $7. Thank you for that. I'm blind.
Canadian.
Mo Camera, yeah, that is true. Mo Camera sent in a $7 super chat Canadian. Says, if MJF came to WWE, Vince would team him up with Dolph Ziggler and call them the dirty underwear.
I don't
never
understand
know.
what that means.
Yeah.
And that's actually funny, but I don't understand it. But it is funny. I'll laugh at it. I don't care.
I mean,
I
yeah,
have
they
no problem.
Clap
probably
happy, Rob. It's
do
past our bedtime.
something
tired.
with Dolph and MJF.
I know, dude.
We're
it's
not
like
shocked.
9:30.
I'm going to get yelled
That's
at.
your
when we get
bedtime.
off this.
I'm
Aaron's going to get yelled at.
My bedtime.
Normally, Aaron's getting yelled at saying, shh, we're at the noise ordinance. Be quiet. Let's go.
Right. Well, she's
Anything
watching.
else?
She's watching Grey's Anatomy, so she's.
We all did our
preoccupied.
plugs, right?
Yep, we're all good.
All right. Well, it's been another great review, and we'll be back before the end of the year. But NoDQ Galaxy, thanks for watching the review number 166 for Santa Claus, for Robbie Weiss, for Aaron Rift, and for Dr. Jargo. I am Virtue. I'm sorry. Good evening. We'll see you next time.
I'm dead inside.